Hey guys. Just tagging some of the people that I know wanted to do this with us.
It's been more than 2 hours.
Ellie.
It's been more than 2 hours.
All right, guys. Hi, Erica. Ellie's got a headache, so don't mind her, guys. She's a little on the whiny side at the moment. Knock it off. You're fine. How many other people have told their kids that today? You're fine. It's okay. Okay, so we're doing this live video today not to teach how to crochet because everyone's still trying to get all their materials and all that stuff to make our first washcloth. And we're choosing to do a washcloth not because we really want to crochet washcloth, but because it's really easy to practice your stitches, your basic stitches, to make something like a small swatch rather than a giant blanket to first start with, and you could practice different stitches making washcloths. So that's why we're going to do a washcloth first. Maybe do 1 or 2 of those just to try the different stitches, learn how to make our washcloth stay together, even going through the washing machine, because these can go through the washing machine. If you're doing your stitches and everything correctly, you should be able to wash it just on a normal setting on the washing machine with all your other stuff, and it should stay together. Unless it's like a fancy thing. Now, would I put Baby Yoda into the washing machine? No, that's definitely a no. Or like his little sweater, probably not. I would hand wash or spot clean him for sure. If I didn't tag you on this, I'm sorry.
Invite Katie.
Oh, Katie doesn't want to learn to crochet, but we can try. I've tried to teach Katie. Katie started a scarf probably 10 years ago, and that scarf is still sitting in my closet, but that's fine. That's Katie. We'll invite you anyways, because I love you. I can't remember if you wanted to, Michelle. So, today we're going to just talk about some of the supplies, what crochet is, because some people think that crochet and knitting are exactly the same thing. They're not. You have different supplies. Same yarn. You can use any yarn to knit or to crochet.
Invite your mom. Invite your mom.
My mom doesn't need to learn to crochet. She's the one that taught me how to crochet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop tagging, and if people are on, they're on. But hi, here's my little headache, mamas. So with crochet, you can have all these different cute little patterns and stuff that you can do once you learn the stitches and how to read patterns, which I'm going to totally get you guys there and how to do that. So what is crochet? So crochet is making fabric with a hook, and the hook looks like this, okay? So there can be lots of different types of these, right? So they could be wood, they could be metal, they could be plastic. This is an interchangeable hook, so he looks a little different. I could take the head off, put him back on. There's a little wrench that really tightens this sucker on. He lights up. So when Artem's trying to go to sleep and he's getting grumpy that I'm sitting there crocheting still, guess what? I could just have like a low light on and then have this guy, and it really helps me see my stitches. Sorry, we could not find a camera stand either. So I'm married to Arizona Gun Guy, who's a YouTuber, and there's no camera stands. Oh, there's the case for this guy. It's like a little portable case that goes with that lighted switch, and I did put that in the little shopping list thing for Amazon if you wanted to look for that. Oh, everything fell out. But in the lighted case thing, there is all these different hooks. This is like used a lot, so don't judge, okay? Bella slobbers it. It's used a lot.
And then she learned how to knit or
Yeah, so I'm trying new stuff too. I'm learning to knit. So crochet hooks look like this though. So they're these little tiny heads on them. And there's a single hook that you're using one at a time.
She uses this.
Oh, I use it all the time. See, it's already smeared from a child. I use it all the time. This is a yarn bag to go. So you put your project in here.
Let's see, some of this.
Yeah, we'll tell them what those are too. Hold on, Ellie. So let's just not jump ahead. Let's do what we're doing. So crochet, what is it? It's using a single hook, not two. That's knitting. In crochet, you use a single hook. And you're using yarn, plastic, whatever you're using at the time. You are using a single stitch at one time and closing that stitch and then moving on to the next stitch. It's very rare to have multiple stitches at a time on the hook. Usually you're working with a single stitch and you might have multiple loops for that one stitch, but then once you're done with that stitch, you're like going on to the next one and you just have one stitch at a time.
Me and my mom started a rag already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now what is knitting? So knitting, we'll bring out Jamie's yarn bag. That's awesome. So knitting is different. So knitting is, in my personal opinion, just a little bit harder. But again, that's because I learned how to crochet first. I'm used to one hook at a time. Knitting is two different things going on at one time. I don't know what just happened there. All right, cool, Tristan. Shh. Yes, Tristan was learning how to knit yesterday.
I already learned how to, too.
So, knitting is, see all these different loops at one time? These are all loops to single stitches that you're working for this row, okay? So, when I'm knitting, I'm going to take these and put them together and loop and pull through and then move all these stitches to this other needle. So you'll have two at a time going, sometimes four. I've just learned. I was trying to look up how to do a cozy for Jamie. So it's a little bit, in my opinion, just a little bit more overwhelming, but it's the same principle. It's going to be taking this yarn and making a type of fabric out of it, okay? So both of them are just like a yarn craft, or you can literally use any type of material. You could use rope, you can use plastic. I made those trash bag mats. I made Bella and Hooch one. Give you one guess what they did with it after all that hard work and thousands of plastic bags that it took to make it. I was super impressed. And thank you, Melissa, for the millions of plastic bags you gave me for their chew toy.
Bella and Hooch, they chewed it up so fast. And Jamie, she uses this water a million times a day.
All day. Yes, yeah. I'm a nurse that actually drinks water now. Thank you. So that's the difference. So you're taking stuff, you're taking the yarn or whatever material that you're using, and then you're making a fabric with it. Whatever type of hook you're using. In crochet, we're going to use that single guy, okay? So on the Amazon wish list, I put on there, if you want lighted hooks, if you really want to commit, because that's like 20 bucks, 25, I think, you can get them. Like, it's not a waste of money or anything. You have all the different heads on there that for all the different sizes, so it's a good investment. If you want the cheaper route, there's those packs that are like $10. This is like a real house, so we have people yelling in the background. Sorry, children fighting over bathrooms and all the things. So the ones that I have you guys looking to buy are going to be like these metal ones. So again, there's plastic ones, wood ones, bamboo, whatever kind you prefer. So I've been crocheting for a long time, so I generally actually prefer metal because it doesn't drag. And that's why when I started knitting, a lot of people said you need to use wood, and I didn't because it has drag. So when I want to go, I want to move fast, and so I use metal usually. Those plastic hooks, they don't have a lot of drag, so I can still move kind of fast.
I need to use it.
Uh-oh, she needs to use it. These little plastic things are not going to come with those packs that are on Amazon because this is for an attachment tool. You can get, if you're feeling like your hand is fatiguing, you can get these little attachments. So you get these and you put a little stopper on it. You put it in here. I think I got this at Walmart one day. I was like, wow, that thing's really cool. And then you just screw it on, and then you use this, okay? So then it just kind of helps with hand fatigue, especially if you have arthritis or something like that. This really helps a lot.
Why does it keep on saying bring them on camera?
Bring the what?
It says bring them on camera.
Oh, Jeff Brown, she wants to know, do you want to come on camera? So these are like the ones that are on the Amazon. So it comes in a pack. You're going to have all these different sizes. On the hooks, it's going to say some different things. So I don't know if we can make this look at it very well, but so on this guy, it's going to tell you the label of the hook. So
wait, can we see the text?
It says K, and then it says 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter. Okay, so each of your hooks is going to tell you that, because whatever pattern that you're making, it's going to call for a specific hook. So you can either just buy these in singles, where you can just buy the single hook if you'd like, but for $10 you can get all of them instead of paying $5 a hook. So that's kind of waste money.
The sound is like...
I know. Tristan can't stand this sound with the... When I'm knitting and he hears that, it drives him bonkers. So the other types of hooks that are out there are the plastic ones that look like this. And I think these ones I did buy in singles because I needed hooks for larger projects.
That's like the one for like this kind of
Yes, for a chunkier yarn. So even the plastic ones are going to tell you usually on them somewhere. So this one's on the base down here, what type of hook it is, what size it is. So each of these yarns, they're going to come with a label. This guy's already opened, but the label is going to tell you what size of hook needs to go for it that this yarn fits best, okay? Some patterns are going to say use larger hooks, smaller hooks. Like this guy, he used a much smaller hook than what that yarn called for, because we don't want a lot of stuffing poking through on something like a toy.
Oh, guys, and go to AZ Family. Wait.
So now yarns. There's different types of yarns.
Now there's only
Let me try to move this way. This is my little crochet keeper thing. It's a 31 bag that has pockets.
Sorry
guys, hang on. I told you we need a camera stand. Arizona gun guy is failing us on
She
this.
even made me a bookmark with the purple thing.
Okay, so on the different types of yarn, it's gonna have, you know, what it is, the different types, because on the patterns it'll tell you sometimes that you want the Bernat Pipsqueak, what color, and then you will kind of find that in Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, wherever you are. You can order it on Amazon. This is one of those fuzzy teddy bear feeling ones. I made Baby Yoda's jacket out of it. And then the other thing this thing is going to tell you is what size of hook that they recommend for it. So for knitting needles, it tells you right here, US 10 or 6 millimeter. And then somewhere on here it should say for crochet as well.
Wait,
oh, here we go. So it's going to tell you right here. So it tells you kind of how bulky it is or whatever, and then it tells you what it recommends. So for a crochet hook, it's going to recommend a 5.5 millimeter hook. And to work this, I think the pattern called for like a 5, something like that.
Mom,
so for each of the different types of yarns, you're going to have that same little cheat sheet thing on it.
And Mom.
So here on this one, it's right here. And it's going to tell you how to wash it so you don't ruin it, putting it in the washing machine if you're not supposed to. So for our washcloth, when I told you guys get the cotton yarn, the worsted weighted cotton yarn, it's going to be the yarn kind of like this, okay? Now, whether it comes in a big spool like this, which is going to be a little bit more, or a little ball like this, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to get more use out of this than this. Like this is going to be a few washcloths where this is going to be even more, okay?
Wait, but
So, and it's going to tell you, like, because it can kind of be overwhelming going onto the yarn aisle, and there's like 500 different types of yarn. So, with the sugar and cream, this Lily kind, it's going to have that same little cheat sheet right there, but it also tells you right here on it that it's cotton, because we want, for a washcloth, we want cotton. We don't want something like this teddy bear yarn or any other acrylic yarn. It's not going to be absorbent. It's not going to work right. We don't want alpaca yarn, because who wants hair all over their kitchen? So, you know, for every project, there's going to be a specific kind of yarn that you need to use. So for a washcloth, we're going to use a cotton type yarn. It doesn't really matter which brand. But to follow a pattern, like what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a pattern, and then we're going to learn to work it together. You're going to need the specific yarn that I tell you to get, just so it comes out to be the same size. So if you get a smaller yarn than what I tell you to get, you're going to have a much smaller washcloth. You're going to end up with like a baby washcloth versus like a kitchen washcloth, okay? So for this guy, it tells you right here that it wants a 5mm hook. So now if you do want to just buy one hook, for Lily, sugar and cream, this guy needs a 5mm hook. So if you want to do that, just go grab that, okay? You can order a single hook, but I don't recommend it because when we go to do the next washcloth or the next project, or say we want to make something else like with this guy, we're probably going to need a different hook, okay? So this guy needs a 6.5mm crochet hook, okay? And then when we start getting into like the chunkier things, like I make big blankets, I make all kinds of stuff, we're gonna need even bigger hooks, which is like those big plastic ones that I bought in the singles. Like this is an 8mm hook.
special guest here.
Oh, we have a special guest arriving to come poop on Baby Yoda. Hold on.
Dun, 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 dun.
She's at the kitchen table. So here's Fluffy. Sorry, it just turned into show and tell. There's our little baby girl. She's like, what's going on? She's trying to hide in an armpit. Okay, Ellie, she's scared.
It's fine, it's fine.
Aw, I know. So everyone, meet Fluffy. She's super cute. She's a speckled Sussex. She's a teenager, so she's a little in her awkward stage. She hasn't quite started laying yet, but she'll get there, another month or so. All right, so for our washcloths, I did a couple examples, like when we were just talking about hooks. So
You're scared of me.
this is with a bigger hook.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can kind of lay these out for you. And this was the smaller hook, the 5mm hook, okay? So you could kind of see how there's not as much light shining through this one. It's a tighter stitch. And I'm going to see if I can flip this around so I can show you the difference in sizing. I know, my 8-year-old's trying to teach me how to use this phone. Okay, so for this guy, just by using a different hook for the same type of yarn, this is showing you the difference in the sizing. So this smaller one with, I believe I used a 5mm on this one, and then I used a 6mm hook on this one. See the sizing difference? So just make sure that when you're getting them that you're using the right hook for the right thing, so then that way you can get it to be the size that you want. This is gonna be a very large, oh, apparently it's asking me if I want to rotate the phone. No, I don't. It's going to be a very large kitchen one. This isn't one you would want to use in like a bathtub or something like that. That's very large. This one, I guess it could be used in the bathtub. It could be used wherever. This one's huge. But when we do start doing the actual crochet videos, when we start putting these things together, getting your yarn, everyone's got their hooks, maybe Sunday people are actually start having their supplies, then we'll start putting it all together, okay? And I will make sure to tell you, okay, use this hook and, you know, all that stuff. So for some of the other supplies we were talking about for the washcloth, you're gonna need that cotton yarn. So I use this for those 2 washcloths, plus I used it for a little bit on something else. You'll need the cotton yarn, some type of scissors. It doesn't matter what kind. You can use embroidery scissors, you can use kitchen scissors, it doesn't matter. These are just like little fold-up ones that I can just put inside that crochet thing and go, okay? You're gonna need your hooks, and you're gonna need something called a yarn needle. Let's see if I can grab. So the yarn needles, I usually buy metal because again, I just like things to last, but I do have some plastic ones and I'll show you a plastic one too. So these I like because it's like a whole little kit. So I have some with really large eyes on here, and then I have some with smaller, because on Baby Yoda, I did need to sew in all his tails that were hanging off when I was done with the fabric. So I had to sew those in, but at the same time, when I was sewing his buttons onto his jacket, this is not gonna fit through a button, okay? So for me, I like to have like a tube of different ones with me at any time because I make all different sorts of things. So then I would just grab one of my smaller needles, and then I would use like a smaller thread to go and sew that on. But then I don't have to go searching for needles because it'll go wherever Artem's camera stands have gone, okay? So for this project, you need the hooks, you need the yarn, you need scissors, and you need a needle to sew it back on. And then the plastic ones will look like this, okay? Just maybe not last you quite as long and stuff. I like my stuff to last. You could buy different little kits like this. There's some knitting stuff in here, plus crochet stuff, scissors, all that kind of stuff. For later on down the road, when we start actually making more stuff, you can buy these little place markers. We're not gonna need it right now because we're gonna start something super easy with the washcloth and not have to have a ton of supplies. So you can see if it is something that you like to do without investing a bunch of money. These are relatively cheap. You can usually buy like 100 of them for like a couple bucks on Amazon. And then I usually always have like a tape measure in my little bags too. So that's pretty much it. Eventually we're going to get you guys to making really cool stuff like this guy, blankets, whatever it is that you guys want to start making. We'll make it a point to be able to teach you how to do that, okay? And then who knows, someday maybe I'll be teaching you guys how to knit once I figure it out 100% myself. But this guy's so cute. He's mooning. He's got a little butt and everything. So yeah, if you want to make toys, I'll teach you guys how to do toys. You guys just need to get a list of things that you would like to make. If you want to make beanies, scarves, I don't really crochet socks and stuff like that, but if you wanted to learn, we'll figure it out. I'll teach you guys how to read all the patterns for whatever thing that we're doing. If we need to write up a pattern, we'll do that. When we start with the washcloth, I'll teach you 2 really basic stitches. I'm going to teach you what's called a single crochet and how to chain. So, but each of these patterns, they're going to have these different little weird words on there, like the CH1, that means chain 1, HGC, that's half double crochet. But I'm going to teach you guys how to do all that. All right, and what all this nonsense means. So, but if there's specific things that you guys want to learn about, just write them down. And then when we do the Facebook Lives or the YouTube videos or whatever we decide to do, then we'll learn about it. But for now, everyone just go get your supplies so then we can start with our basic single crochet and chains and how to sew in tails and all the stuff, okay? So then that way you guys can learn these basic stitches and we can kind of go from there. All right, does anyone have questions? No? All right, well, I'm gonna close the video out, but if you guys have questions later, just post them on here, okay? And then I'll go back and answer them. And I did give a little hint that I did something crazy with my hair, and I did, but I'm not going to show it right now because Brandy, who is with Sharon Sanity Salon, she hasn't released the pictures of it yet, so I'll share those later when she's when she's released them, okay? Because she was the artist that did it. So, and don't judge me too harshly. I just needed something new. All right. Bye, guys.